Well, there are some people taking the view once Gibraltar is out of the EU, then the agreements will be able to progress without it. We need to wait and see what happens. Our view is that Gibraltar should be included in these measures, that the UK must maintain the red lines until the point of exit, is something which we've said publicly before. And also that Gibraltar should be included in the future aviation agreement between the United Kingdom and the European Union. Bear in mind, aviation generally is an area where there is considerable uncertainty at the moment. There was talk recently of EasyJet moving its operations, for example, to Austria in order to be able to operate in the European Union in case there was no aviation agreement. And only last week, the chairman of Heathrow Airport was warning that there should be a smooth transition based on what we have at present before any new aviation deal comes into effect. In other words, in aviation, there is no reliance on reverting to World Trade Organization terms as there is in other trading issues. On aviation, it's either in or out at the moment. And we know the UK position is that we will not recognize the jurisdiction of the European Court of Justice, which means they cannot remain in the European Common Aviation Area. So they need to have a new aviation agreement between the UK and the European Union. And the third and final point, obviously, are the new aviation agreements the UK is expected to conclude once we've left the European Union with third countries. So, for example, there may be agreements with Morocco, with the United States, with Canada. Gibraltar, I can confirm, has already been consulted on some of these.
So the idea is that we form part of these agreements.
That's right. The view of the government and indeed of successive governments has been that Gibraltar should form part of all these agreements going forward.
So where does this leave Spain's veto?
Well, the Spanish veto applies to the future relationship deal, as you rightly say. So there are two agreements. One is the withdrawal treaty. The UK is leaving, and there are certain issues which need to be addressed as part of the withdrawal treaty. Within that, it's now been made absolutely clear by the President of the European Commission himself that that applies to Gibraltar, and that therefore there is no Spanish veto in that. That deal will be agreed by qualified majority voting between all the member states within 2 years, if it happens within 2 years. If there needs to be an extension, then it will take longer. Then there will be possible vetoes, but not if it happens within 2 years. But then there's also the future relationship agreement, which will cover not just areas like aviation, but really everything else, including trade between the UK and the EU. I have to say, trade is of less immediate concern to us because Gibraltar is not in the customs union and is not in the free movement of goods acquis.
In a statement, the government says it's looked at a number of potential solutions to a free-flowing frontier. What are these?
We've mentioned some of these in the past, so we've been looking at closely. One is the possibility of Gibraltar somehow joining Schengen or having some kind of common travel area with the European Union, even if the United Kingdom is not part of the EU in the future. That would mean a very fluid border because obviously people will be able to travel in and out. In terms of the checks on persons, not the checks on goods, which you would expect would continue as they are at present. Another potential solution we've been looking at is the local frontier traffic regulation of 2006, or something based on that regulation. And I think the advantage of that is that it is already enshrined in European Union law. There are already areas which straddle a member state and a non-member state of the European Union, where this is being used and where it is applied and put into effect. Ceuta and Melilla, for example, while not coming under this specific arrangement, have something very similar in terms of their border crossings with the Moroccan provinces of Nador and Tétouan, which are the ones next to them. So there are solutions if they can be found. And the third one, I think, is the borders between mini-states and the European Union that exist at present. So we've been looking and doing work at the borders, for example, with Andorra, with San Marino, with Liechtenstein, with all these small states and the European Union nations that surround them. So a lot of work has gone into it. There are potential solutions. The political will to find such a solution and to adopt one has to be there.